much know when we're live. Yes, we're live. We're back with Missal Strike, episode 2. Steve, how you doing?
Whoops, you just went mute for me. Let me see what happened.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can, yes.
Okay. How was your week? How did you enjoy episode 1 last week?
Oh, I love going through the Bible. This is great.
Did it help you on Sunday?
Yeah, it's I actually do the daily readings every day. The first thing I wake up. I used to do Liturgy of the Hours, and this works out better. I'm turning off my other Bluetooth because I think my headset's picking up my phone. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're all good on your side. You sound good.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, this is really great for me, and I love how it stitches together the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah.
And hearing what comes to mind for you. And if we had a couple other people, we'd probably have more things come to mind.
For sure. Yeah. We'll open it up every Wednesday. We'll get better at it, and we'll have a couple of guests come in. I know you've sent an invite to a couple of your friends. I'm not sure if they were the type that would join, but I also have people on my side that I could invite.
Yeah, just 1 or 2 more would be good, I think.
Yeah, 1 or 2 more. That's pretty much the max. That's the max anyway. So this week I have my paper Living with Christ magazine. I get a paper subscription, so I'm able to read it off the paper, which I find more pleasant rather than
Missal,
reading.
Right?
Yeah, rather than reading it off the
That's
screen.
like 1 year. 1 year's worth?
No, I get month by month. This is 1 month.
All right.
This is July.
You're not an app guy, huh?
No, I don't.
Tree killer.
I don't use my cell phone at all. Like, if I can help it.
I won't use it either for the Gospels. I sometimes follow the Psalms because I can't remember what the refrain is.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, whenever somebody starts reading a gospel, I can usually know by memory what the rest of it is.
The context and everything comes to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I never like to read anything when they read the gospel.
You look at the priest.
I try to listen, and I think most of us know these things. Once they start telling it, it's like, oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah, Plato said learning is remembering. So even if you never heard it, I mean, when I first read the New Testament, it did sound very familiar, probably because our culture is inundated with Christian content. But.
And they say, like, when Jesus was on the cross and he said, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" It was like when you hear the first verse of a song, everybody starts singing the rest of the song.
Right. Yeah. The whole psalm is implied.
Yeah. Everybody hopefully finished that when he said it.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, they say there's people that would pray the Psalms every day.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an Eastern Orthodox monk, I think, who started a religious order. I saw it on Twitter, where they would they were allowed to sleep 1 hour per night each. They would take turns sleeping, and they would just sing the Psalms. I think they went through it in a day, every day, all day, every day.
Wow.
And they did the liturgy, and they did the readings of the day that they had to do. The hours. What's it called? What's the official title? The hours?
Liturgy of the Hours. One of my favorite saints, I forget her name, Monticello. I forget her name, but they say, but she was blind, but she knew all the Psalms from memory. Saint Margaret of Castello. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so we can get started if you like.
Yeah, I'm just curious. You're on the 14th Sunday. I wonder if you are on the right date.
July 9.
July 9. Oh, I'm on the wrong date. Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to change the... bear with me 1 second. I don't want to get this published wrong. I have to change it on the description. I put 15th. It's only the 14th Sunday coming up.
Yeah,
14th
I almost had the wrong date myself too.
Okay. So it's going to be the 9th on this Sunday. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, if you like, we can start doing like the current week stuff in review.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that, yeah. You want to start with the Sunday and work our way back?
Maybe for next time.
Yeah.
What you want to do?
Today we'll just do Sunday.
This coming Sunday, yeah.
I want to read from my Living with Christ magazine, and you tell me if there were significant differences. I remember I made a joke last week. I replaced one word, fondling. I want to see if you can catch anything, because I'm going to be reading from my book. Okay, can I read the first reading?
Yeah, let's start it off here. Reading 1.
Zechariah 9:9-10. Thus says the Lord.
Oh, before you do that, I'd like to give a little context of what Zechariah is. I had to look it up, and it's the prophet Zechariah was there in Jerusalem when they came back from Babylon. So they just got through the ringer there in Babylon. And the context is that he's prophesying how if they are faithful and rebuild the temple, God's going to build his kingdom there. And there's a lot of visionary prophecy that really matches the book of Apocalypse or Revelation in Zechariah with the 4 horses and everything. So that's where he comes in with this stuff. So.
Cool. So thus says the Lord, rejoice greatly, O daughter Zion, and shout aloud, O daughter Jerusalem. Lo, your king comes to you. There's that idea of king again. Triumphant and victorious is he, humble and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. He will cut off the chariot from Ephraim and the war horse from Jerusalem, and the warrior's bow shall be cut off. Bow, I guess it is. The warrior's bow shall be cut off. And he shall command peace to the nations. His dominion shall be from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, a lot of different translations there. I think the USCCB uses NABRE.
Okay. Let me check.
We'll have to see which one yours is using. So I'll just read the first verse of Psalms here, in that I will praise your name forever, my King and my God. I will extol you, my King and my God, and I will bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you, and I will praise your name forever. And I'll go ahead and read the second one. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness. The Lord is good to all and compassionate towards all his works. So I don't know if you want to skip to the second reading. Is that in your Missal?
Hold on. Can you scroll back up to the Psalm? Is it Psalm 145? Is that what you read?
Yes. I think when they do it like this, they're skipping verses. See, they go 1 through 2, then 8 through 9.
Okay.
Yeah, they skip some verses.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just checking if these match up or not, but it doesn't really matter at all.
Yeah.
How did it end? The reading that you did there, what was the last stanza there that you read to me?
It says, the Lord lifts up all who are falling and raises up all who are bowed down.
Okay, yeah, that corresponds. Okay, I was just checking that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Psalms, I think they do it like this because the second verse is the, what do you call that? The refrain. Usually it's a song. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to hear what those were like in the back then?
Oh yeah, we're gonna hear it. We're gonna hear it on Judgment Day, and in all eternity. So I'm gonna do the second reading, Romans 8, and is that 8, 9, and 11 to 13. Brothers and sisters, you are not in the flesh; you are in the Spirit. since the Spirit of God dwells in you. Anyone who does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to him. If the Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also through his Spirit that dwells in you. So then, brothers and sisters, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live.
Oh, wow. That's definitely a lot different translations. Is that Canadian language?
I just fumbled it, but it probably corresponds pretty much.
All right. Well, there's an alleluia before the gospel here, and that blessed are you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. You have revealed this to little ones, the mysteries of the kingdom. I'll go ahead with the gospel, Matthew 11. You're like, I will praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the little ones. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal to him. Come to me, all of you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Wow. That's a lot. There's so much in all this. I don't know where to start. Is there something that jumps out to you?
Well, you want to start with the gospel and what strikes us in the gospel? Well, the first thing that strikes me is about how the proud will be resisted by God, and he's going to reveal himself to infants and innocents. And that's the will of God. That's the will of God the Father, to get one over on the proud in this very
I think about that a lot when skeptics say, well, they don't get it, they don't believe. I'm thinking, well, there's probably a good reason.
Yeah.
You have to humble yourself to be ready to receive it, right?
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're going to be left to your own devices.
And you hear like apologists will sometimes force, or immature apologists, they'll try to force someone to get these things, and they just can't, because it's not given to them. Right?
It's a grace.
Yeah.
Faith is a gift. It's a grace for sure. When I went from not having faith to having faith, and all I did was say yes to some graces that came my way. It makes a world of a difference.
Yeah, that probably was through a lot of humility, right?
Well, I guess I'd been humbled over the years by my disgusting self-love and all that.
Yeah,
it's humbling when you're honest with yourself. You realize how disgusting you are, and your pride and all that. It's just...
Yeah, it strikes me here at the beginning with Jesus saying, I give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned. It's like he's had it with them, they're like too hoity-toity.
So you think you're clever, eh?
Like,
okay. You think you're clever, okay. Okay.
Jesus is like, thank God you guys don't know anything, and I'd rather be talking to the little ones,
Yeah, well, it's all about...
I'm looking at Matthew 11 to see what preceded that.
The context.
And, yeah. Oh, he's upbraiding the cities where Horizon and Bethsaida didn't listen to him, and he's saying, woe to you, because if the mighty works that had been done here were done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented, and it's going to be more tolerable on the day of judgment for them than Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh, yeah.
For then
It's
for
going to be,
then for you.
yeah, they're really going to get it. So Jesus here, it's Jesus is lamenting like, thank God these things haven't been revealed to the wise and learned.
Well, there's
We have
another thing here. He says in the second paragraph about how you can't be Christian except by a grace from God, and all the Jews and Muslims, it's God's will that they not know the Son, basically. His permissive will or his ordaining will? That's the question.
Yeah. And there's usually I've seen in converts, there's usually some trigger that opens them up to it, some act of compassion. I saw a Muslim guy once, he said he saw Christians praying for him, and he was abusing them, and he was really struck by the fact that they were praying for him. And that I guess that opened him up.
I'm gonna invite my friend, my friend Nicola Krisick. He probably won't join, but I'm just sending it to him because I'm not sure if he can make it this Saturday. We're having a Bible study. I'm not sure if he can make it. If he chooses to pop on and say hi, we'll get his input on these readings. But we'll just continue in the meantime because it's not likely that he'll join us. But
okay, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, one other thing that struck me here is in the second reading when Paul is saying, "You're not in the flesh; you're in the spirit." And I think that's something that's so important.
Yeah.
In daily life, we have temptations of the flesh, and God's calling us to an eternal spirit. And Paul's saying, "Give it up, give it up. It's going away. The flesh is going to die, and if you hang on to that, you're going to die." And yeah, you should live by the spirit and not the flesh. I mean, maybe that's obvious to you, but it really is a helpful reminder every day.
Of course, yeah. I need to be reminded. My most recent guest was my first ever priest. I don't know if you saw him, a Norbertine priest, but he said,
"Oh yeah, OP, yeah."
Yeah, he said, I don't think he's a Norbertine, not a Dominican. Did you say OP?
Yeah, I saw his signature OP.
Opram.
I thought OP meant Order of Preachers, Dominican.
No, he is Oprim or Opram or something like that. It's the Norbertines. Norbertine order. But he said that when he
heard of it.
Saint Norbert, we had his feast day about a month ago. Cool guy. But this priest told me that when he was discerning his vocation, he was a little bit sad that he couldn't have a family. But then he said he saw the Holy Spirit showed him that he's going to have a family in heaven, and it's just putting it off for 60 years, and he'll have something better than the earthly family. So he had that spiritual perspective on it.
Was that like a vision he had or a dream?
Just praying on it, I think. Just praying on it and thinking about it. I think that's just like, when we think about, should I be a priest or a family man? He just thought, well, he said he was reading the Gospels, and it said in Matthew that put your treasure in heaven, or I forget which part it was, but he just came to the conclusion that it's better to be a virgin. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's a virgin. I hope. I was going to ask him. I was too shy to ask him.
I think a lot of orders have like a 3-year cool down period or something. Like if you've had
sex,
mortal sins or something, like for 3 years, you shouldn't enter the seminaries. I've seen.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't want someone waltzing. I don't want someone waltzing in fresh off of mortal sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really great. It's interesting how like certain verses just leap off the page and come to life. That probably happened to him.
Oh
Just
yeah.
super present.
So my friend Nicholas says he, depending on if he's able to or not, he might hop on for a short while, but we'll see how that plays out. But he's Nicola, if you're listening, you're welcome to pop in and say hi for as long as you have. I know you're busy with your family there. But we haven't talked about the psalm or the first reading. So what did you think about Zechariah there? With the donkey and the colt and the foal.
Yeah, it reminds me, some apologetics point out in other verses, they just mentioned that Jesus was riding on a horse or a donkey or one or the other. There seems to be a contradiction there, but
yeah.
I saw, skeptics will argue that there's a contradiction. People like Bart Ehrman will say there's a contradiction, but I saw some scholars say, well, Jerusalem has a lot of hills, and it's real common that they would have a pack they would have a pack animal to carry the load, and they would have a colt alongside it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But this other part about the warrior's bow shall be banished and peace to the nations proclaimed. You hear our Jewish brothers say that, well, the Messiah didn't come yet because there's still war and there's still not peace. So I don't know what to say about, I don't know if you have thoughts about that. A lot of these statements are very vague, maybe too vague.
Yeah, I if I see an apparent contradiction, like for example, people argue that everyone thought that Jesus was going to come again in their lifetime, the second coming would be in their lifetime. That's never bothered me. It's never bothered me because I see it as a mystical thing where it's like, I think that God's smart enough to work with us as we are in our human nature, with our psychology and our human nature generally, and he's designed all of salvation history and all of tradition, written and unwritten tradition, for our greatest good. And it's just beyond obvious that we don't understand much of what we read in the scriptures, but we understand a lot, and we understand what God wants us to understand. And I always think about the Tower of Babel and the confusion of the languages. It's not just a confusion of languages. Like ever since the fall, there's been confusion generally just about who we are, what we are, what's our relationship with God, how do we worship him, what is the one true religion? There's so much confusion. So I don't come to the scriptures with this naive idea that there's what's it called? Perspicuity? Perspicuity?
I'll have to look that one up.
The clarity of the scriptures. It's like it's self-evident what the scriptures mean. I don't come to the scriptures with that Protestant idea.
Lucidity, clearness, yeah.
How do you pronounce it? Perspicuity?
Perspicuity. Yes, I think so.
The Protestants talk about that, how it's just like, well, you just need the Bible because it's so obvious what's in the Bible. It's just so obvious, right? It's like, no, it's not. It's not. I'm sorry. There are things that are obvious, and the Holy Spirit, yes, the Holy Spirit is guiding the Catholics and the non-Catholics alike to understand certain things. Yeah, for sure. But we don't understand much. I would say there's a lot more. And I mentioned this to you last time. You seemed a bit shocked, but I think we're going to be amazed at how much depth and richness we missed when we read.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's so many. I think you could study the Bible for a lifetime and never see all the cross references and correlations. It's amazing.
Yeah. So when he makes this prophecy about the plowshares will be the swords will be made into plowshares and all that sort of thing, it's like God is peace. So there's no injustice or unrighteousness or baseness in God whatsoever. There won't be any disgusting wars when God's kingdom is established. There just won't be.
Yeah, I guess it's true that his God's kingdom, even here on earth right now, it's not done by the sword. It's done through evangelization and good deeds.
It's in the spirit, not in the body.
Yeah, unless there's a Pope factory creating a bunch of armaments right now that I don't know about. Don't they have they have some machine guns or tanks or something? They're gearing up for something. I don't know.
Are you serious?
No. No.
The popes have ridden into battle before, though. They've done it before. Physical battles. I don't know if they were good popes or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Saint Joan of Arc, she was good, and she was a warrior. So.
Yeah, so I guess this has come true that the way of Christ's kingdom on earth here hasn't been by the sword. So
it's true.
And peace has been proclaimed. His dominion is from sea to sea.
I've heard historians make the bold case that Christianity did, maybe you've even said it, that Christianity did enter us into an era of peace unprecedented. I've heard this many times. I'm not so knowledgeable about history to really have an opinion, a strong opinion, but I like to think that it's true that Christianity put an end to slavery and misogyny for the most part, and racism and whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of Tom Holland. I'll put him on the screen, my screen here. But he's a historian who was an agnostic in England and very well respected historian. And he had a conversion around the same time as me. And it just struck, the weight of history just really struck him. And he said, holy cow, I'm Christian. Because of all the things he just takes for granted. And I think he has some really good, I think he wrote a book about it.
Cool.
And yes, when you think about it with history, it's they can't avoid it. They just see that the world, how it changed. It really did change in the ways that the Old Testament prophesies, from barbaric paganism to things we take for granted today.
Yeah,
law and order, marriage.
Yeah, things that are being taken for granted to the extent where we're losing them.
Yeah, what could go wrong? We don't need marriage.
We're living on the fumes of the golden age of Christianity. It's tempting to think that the best years are behind us. That's for sure. It's very tempting to think that.
Yeah, I'm really encouraged every time I look back in history. In the 19th century, in the 20th century, we had 2 world wars or more, right? And then in the 19th century, there was, so much more chaos. You had Napoleon occupying the Vatican.
He took Pius IX hostage. Is that true? Is that the same era?
Oh, I don't know which pope it was, but yeah, one of them was taken. They looted the Vatican, and when I toured the Vatican, I asked the tour guide. I said, "What was the worst thing to happen to the Vatican?" What was it? I asked him, "Was it Napoleon?" And he said, "No, it was the Germans."
Oh, really?
Apparently, World War II, they occupied. Who knows what? But the museum is beautiful, though. Still, I can only imagine what happened over the past 1,000 years. Muslims looted the Vatican too at one time. But anyway, if you
it was Pope Pius Pope Pius the Seventh was held hostage for 5 years, and Pope Pius the Sixth died in captivity under Napoleon. So it was the Pius the Sixth and Seventh.
Wow, yeah. I mean, imagine if something just close to that happened today. People would say it's the end of the world,
Oh, yeah.
But these things happen. That was in the 1800s, right? and you
Yeah.
go back to the 1700s and 1600s, there's so much turmoil
Mm.
that would just be ridiculous to us today. Like the 100 Years' War, there's Genghis Khan. We have it really
Chaos.
good. We have it really, really good.
We had 2.5 years of COVID.
Everybody has, I think, so many millions of people have access to just really good information. But I think for most of history, people were serfs on their land, and they thought they're born into that. They're going to live and die in that. They didn't even know who the Pope was, right? Until so that's what I think of the news of or scandals about the Vatican. It's like, a couple of centuries ago, you wouldn't even know any news until 5 years later, maybe. It's like, oh wow.
Did you hear what happened 5 years ago?
Yeah, did you hear about that conference? Wow.
Those bishops in Germany are very liberal and progressive.
Yeah. You have to be really media savvy to manage that 24-hour news cycle.
You need to be a what do you call it? A masochist.
Yeah.
It's like the Wheel of Fortune, that medieval image of the Wheel of Fortune where it's just you're strapped onto this wheel, it's going up and down and up and down and up and down. And they make a joke, the right-wing guys, the alt-right guys, they make a joke. There are two modes of being and they alternate like so quickly. It's like it's so over and we're so back. Like it's like it's over, we're back, it's over, we're back, it's over, we're back. And you hear this in a lot of different communities on the left, on the right. Like people are just like, yay, we're winning. Oh, we're losing. Everything's dark and black. But there's hope. But oh, we're lost. And it's just what a roller coaster it must be to buy into the worldliness of the news cycle. It's just like, I support the current thing, I oppose the current thing. It's like, oh, I just try to avoid the current thing if possible.
Yeah, I do keep an eye on things like marriage worldwide and
Abortion.
Birth rates. Yeah, that's unprecedented. The institution of marriage, it's kind of taking a turn in world history. And the birth rate's gone down to.
Well, didn't you mention Sodom and Gomorrah here recently in this room?
Yeah.
That's the turn it's taking.
Yeah. Who was it that mentioned the souls of Sodom and Gomorrah crying out for justice? Like, come on, we weren't that bad. What's going on? Yeah, I think we covered the Gospels here. That no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone whom the Son wishes to reveal. It really shows how Jesus is the gate, the only way to heaven.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Were you done in your thought?
Yeah. Well, I think about all the different people of the world, whether or not they accept Jesus, I'm sure he puts his hand out, but there's some people that just can't embrace him.
He's knocking at their door.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you in terms of like ecumenism, and we've got people on the right who are saying that, we've got Sedevacantists saying that we don't worship the same God as they do because they, the Muslims don't worship the same God that Catholics do, and the Jews don't worship the same God that we do. But my catechism says that they do. And I'm with the church. I trust the church. I believe the church. And I think reason tells me that the Jews and the Muslims, those who believe in the uncaused first cause, they do believe in my God and they do worship my God, however imperfectly or however they misunderstand him. But the reason I'm asking you about this in the context of this, no one knows the Father except the Son and those whom the Son wishes to reveal him to, is because, we could point to different Christian communities, non-Catholic Christian communities, different Protestant brands or whatever they are, and we could say to them, you don't believe in my God because my God has 7 sacraments and this and that and all this Catholic stuff, and your God is just private judgment or whatever. And in a certain sense, I mean, maybe it's true. Maybe the accusation could be true in a certain sense. If someone has made an idol of the Bible, made an idol of their private judgment, has made an idol of their televangelist or whatever, yeah, maybe they don't worship the one true God. But if they do understand in a very basic way who and what God is, I would say that they know him and they worship him. It doesn't matter if we disagree about the Catholic distinctives. And the same thing, I extend that courtesy to the Jews and the Muslims. Like, yeah, you might be an idol worshiper, you might have made an idol of the Quran or of Muhammad or whatever, but assuming you know who and what God is and you love him and you want to serve him, I say that you're a monotheist. You have the same God that I have. So what's your opinion about all that finger pointing that happens primarily on the right hand side of the Catholic online community?
Yeah, I think if you look over the Gospels and things, there's a lot, and the Bible, there's a lot of mercy. God is very forgiving. Like here, I pulled up Romans 2, where it talks about even those who do good deeds can be saved. I don't know what verse it is, but they don't even know the gospel, but they have the law on their hearts. And let me see if I can find it. Those who are uncircumcised but carry out the law, they're going to pass judgment on you.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, only God can see their heart and know how much of the grace they responded to and have their opportunities and things. I think the Muslim apologists who insist that Jesus wasn't crucified, they're going to have a hard time when they find out.
Hopefully they'll be like, oh, that's amazing news. I'm so happy. Isa, peace be upon him, is God. Wow, this is so amazing. I didn't know God could have a partner. I didn't know that he could have a partner, because that's what they say. God has no partners, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, I think the Quran was diabolically influenced, but God managed to keep a few things in there like that will give them a path. Like they believe that Jesus will be there at Judgment Day for them.
Yeah, and probably Mary too.
Yeah, they view Mary as highest in heaven. And next time I talk to somebody about that, I'm going to say, you mean like the Queen of Heaven?
And there's that Fatima connection too, I think, which is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
That's he was one of the favorite wives of Muhammad, I believe. Or is it the daughter? Is it the daughter?
Fatima was his favorite daughter.
Okay. But he did not marry her.
Who?
He didn't.
What's that?
It was his daughter, but he did not marry her. I'm just making a joke.
Oh. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's what really gets me is why, if they know God, how can they follow this? You should know them by their fruits, right? How can you follow this polygamist that was robbing caravans?
Well, I followed David, who was a polygamist and a murderer and adulterer. So I don't think I have a problem with it. I could look past. I could look past the sins. I could look past the sins if you repent, and if the church tells me that this was a saint. Now the church doesn't tell me that Muhammad was a saint, so I don't revere Muhammad as a saint. But if my church told me Muhammad was a saint, I would look past all of his sins. Not a problem. Just like I do with David.
Oh, but he was claiming that David didn't do things like claim that God revealed that he can have more than 4 wives, more than the 4 that everybody else gets.
All I'm saying is that if you're a Muslim and my Muslim friend told me that Muhammad is closer to their heart, to each Muslim's heart, than their own mother and father and all these sorts of things. That sounds a lot like what Jesus said. Was it last week where he said, if you don't hate your mother and father and daughter and son, then you can't be my disciple. Was that last week? Yeah, it
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah.
It was last week. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in the Quran and Islam. I think it was left over from Nestorianism or Ebionites or Arians.
Yeah, there
And
was a
there's some,
weird mix of stuff happening at that time in that area, I guess.
yeah, and I think God's providence is in there because of Ishmael.
Yeah.
I think last week, didn't we read something about Ishmael?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Or
I
where
can
was that
check.
the other day?
Sunday, July 2nd.
Oh, here it is. Today. Yeah, it was about the driving out of Ishmael, and God promises to raise him up into a great nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's
True.
foretelling of what happened. I don't think God ordained Islam, but that's the way things wound up.
I don't think God ordained whatever this modern day so-called Judaism is either, but he's letting it happen.
Yeah, because he can use it for some good. And I pulled up this. I think I told you about this before. The miracle of the 19 in Quran. Do you know about that?
No.
Well, I met a former Muslim now who is a pastor of 3 churches in the Middle East. I think he's from Turkey. And I asked him, what's the biggest thing in Islam the next 10, 20 years? And he said, well, right away, he didn't hesitate. He said the 19ers. And I said, what's that? He said, well, there's this huge movement in Turkey and other moderate Islam places that are fascinated by the number 19. And if you Google for the Quran and 19, you'll see all these things about this numerology. Like here, there's 114 surahs, which is divided by 19. The number of verses is divisible by 19. They keep seeing the number 19. And
what's miracle fact number 19? I want you to read that one to me because you had a whole list there. I want to
the 19th miracle.
Yeah, what was the 19th?
Of 19?
Yeah.
Fact number 19. There's 30 different numbers.
Some of these so 30 is the key. 30 is the key.
Yeah, somebody did the math here.
Wow, so that's pretty cool, actually.
But I think, I've read the Quran several times myself, and I realized the Quran's arranged by size.
Yeah, the different lengths.
Except for the verse, the first chapter. But chapter 19 is about, guess what?
Mary.
It's Mary. Yeah, it's a chapter about Mary, and it goes on to tell about Jesus and Mary. And I think this is heaven's way of inspiring them to read chapter 19.
Yeah. Wow. What's verse 19 in chapter 19?
Oh,
let's go look. Not that I buy into this, but let's just see for fun.
I am the messenger of the Lord, sent to bless you with a pure son. I think that's Angel Gabriel telling Mary. You should recognize this from Luke's gospel. How can I have a son when no man has ever touched me? It will be easy for me, and I'll make him a sign for humanity. So I think if
pretty cool.
Muslims pay attention to this, they'll be like, wait a minute. How can he be a message for humanity if we think the Bible is corrupt? So there's a lot behind that, in that Mary will guide them to Jesus because they have such a high reverence for Mary.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a beautiful script. I love the Arabic script. I studied Arabic in the late 90s for a brief time. Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Really?
Don't ask me to read it. A bit rusty.
Yeah, I followed Islam. I studied as much as I could years ago, and I don't know if you know, but there's several dilemmas in the way that it says to ask the people when if you have a doubt, go ask the people of the book what
Uh-huh.
that came before you, which refers to Jews and Christians. So on one hand, they're supposed to defer to us, but then on the other hand, they say, well, we we have become corrupt. So it's a contradiction in the Quran.
Did you ever look into Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses?
Yeah, I did at one point. When there's some verses taken out
about the demonic inspiration of.
Oh yeah, he composed something. There were like these three dancer girls. There was a chapter about that, and Muhammad wrote it, and then realized no, that was from Satan.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Mormonism has a lot of the same things going on. They both got into polygamy. They both got into building up wealth and conquering by the sword. But yeah, this miracle of the 19. Let's pray that we'll see that in our lifetime.
Yeah.
They say in the Middle East, there's a lot of Christian churches that are overwhelmed with converts.
Nice.
From Islam.
That's a bold move to convert away from Islam.
Yeah, because they're under the threat of death by apostasy. Very brave people, especially in Iran. They have to meet underground.
Oh, yeah. That's when you know you're a true believer. You're putting your life on the line.
Yeah, so we've got it pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah.
These are the good times. I don't know about you, but they talk about this era of peace from Mary. I think we might be in it.
Yeah.
I feel fortunate I came in after came of age after Vietnam War and before between wars, and I think that era of peace is talking about centered on Rome. In World War I and II, Rome got involved. There were troops right in the Vatican, right? I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
About the troops being in the Vatican?
The era of peace. Oh, have you heard about?
It's connected with the private revelation, or?
Yeah, there's private revelation that there's going to be an era of peace.
Is that the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the eschatology or whatever it's called. But I just wanted to mention while you're looking stuff up with the psalm, the refrain is, "I will bless your name forever, my King and my God," right? I will bless your name forever, my King and my God. So it reminds me, what comes to mind is the doubting Thomas when he said, "My Lord and my God," when he saw the wounds. I don't think he touched them, but he saw them.
Yeah, that was the other day, maybe yesterday.
But also the fact that David or whoever wrote this psalm is saying, "I will bless your name forever." That means that he's confident he's going to heaven. That's what it means. That's what it means. That's why it's good. It's like, the atheists, they have these things. They get up in the morning, they look in the mirror and they say, "I will be successful. I am beautiful. I am smart. I'm this. I will bless your name. I will bless your name." Yes, I will. No. I'm not going to listen to any negativity. I will bless your name forever. I will. It's like in the the Wizard of Oz with the Cowardly Lion, where he gets himself hyped up to have courage or whatever. That's how I feel.
I didn't realize that was in Psalms too. Monday was the feast of St. Thomas, and the other priest at our church pointed out that this statement from Thomas is the greatest or highest praise, or what, I forget how he said it. It's the greatest theology. My Lord, my God. Yeah, my Lord and my God is kind of the
It's the
greatest
most
statement.
explicit. It's the most explicit statement of the divinity of Christ in the whole Bible, I think.
Yeah, that and even more. I used to always get these Lord, Christ, God things mixed up.
Yeah. What's the difference and what's the hierarchy? And
Yeah, Lord means like king and ruler, right? And God is everything. So he, my king and my God, like my ruler here and now and forever.
yeah, because when I think of a lord, I think of my landlord. I pay rent to my landlord. My master, I'm a slave. He's the master. That's what I think of with lord. And it's a very common title in pagan circles too, right?
Yeah.
It denotes
So
worldly power. Yeah, worldly power.
yeah, and that they that book gospel says, "Blessed are those who have not seen and believed." That explains why a lot of people, God, I think, gives us the bare minimum of what we should want to see, because the more that we don't see, the better for now, the more blessed.
Of course.
It's like riding a bike. It's better if God just does as much as little as we need to get going. And
We don't want like the mega training wheels where we just sit back on a recliner seat and sleep. And no, we have to be alert and balancing and falling and scrape our knee.
yeah, blessed are those without training wheels.
Where they shall learn how to ride the bike.
Yeah. So we at the 1 hour with.
Yeah, yeah, it's 9 o'clock now. I gotta wrap it up here, but hopefully next Wednesday I'll have a little bit longer leash. But
I can write you a note if you need one for
hall pass. Yeah.
And maybe next time we can do the review of the prior.
Yeah.
Sun.
Let's do that, because I got my July thing, so I'm gonna start reading every night in bed. Like, that's my habit. So I'll read for tomorrow, and then usually I cheat on the weekends. I don't read on the weekends. The
Oh yeah. I don't know about you, but I used to read the Liturgy of the Hours, and I kind of fell out of habit, and I realized, well, the church is following this set. This is a lot like the Liturgy of the Hours. So
I never attempted the Liturgy of the Hours. I never had the time for that, but it seems very, very daunting and intimidating to me. Like, how many hours does it take a day? Total.
Not a lot. I think if you just read the one set of readings, it's almost as long as, it's about like twice the size of this.
Okay, it's reasonable.
Yeah, a lot of more Psalms, I think. And I kind of had a hard time doing it, and I realized, well, I go to Mass. It'd be good if I brushed up on it.
Yeah.
This is a lot like reading the Liturgy of the Hours. And it follows the life of Christ throughout the year. So there's synchronicity with the whole church.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how long does it take to pray the Liturgy of the Hours. Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. So it says about 20 minutes. Office readings take 20 minutes. Morning and evening prayers about 15 minutes. So let's say 15 times 3, 45 minutes, and then another 5 minutes. So about an hour a day. It's about an hour a day of reading. The new way. The older one was longer. So it would have been 45 minutes and an hour 45, 2 hours. It would have been 2 hours. It's about half of what it used to be. It used to be about 2 hours a day. Now it's about an hour a day. Does that sound reasonable?
I thought it was less than 30 minutes.
Oh, really? Maybe you're a fast reader.
If I remember. I know the priests and deacons do it every day. I guess bishops too. The divine office.
Yeah.
Ministry. That,
Very
yeah.
cool. Very cool. Well, it's on my list of things to do. Not the divine office, but just to, you know, fill my day with better quality content, Catholic content, and less demonic content. It's a good life
Yeah.
goal. It's a good life
You're not
goal.
watching any more drag
No, we're
shows.
not watching drag. My wife is red pilled on politics now. She's like anti alphabet agenda. Thanks to your
Yeah,
prayers.
it's
Thanks to your prayers.
oh, you're welcome. It's quite a spectacle to see, but it just sticks in your mind. I think I hate to think what
You still
goes
watch it?
along with that.
You still watch it to
All
this
the
day?
drag queen stuff. It's normalized now.
Oh yeah, that's another reason my wife doesn't like to watch it anymore. It's like mainstream, because she said, you know, she used to have sympathy for these people, and they were marginal and vulnerable and, you know, cute and oppressed and all that. But now they're just like shoving this crap in her face, and it's like you're not the underdog. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have sympathy for you. You're pushing your Sodom and Gomorrah crap on us. It's just not cool.
I always wondered why women weren't offended by it. They're making like a parody of women with the big hair and the makeup, and I mean, imagine if somebody walked around with a bodybuilder suit and like, hey, I'm a guy now. You're like, what? It's crazy.
Theater, it's crazy theater, yeah. Well, the reason Anna and I watched RuPaul's Drag Race is because, you know, the guy is mostly guys, obviously. They've started sneaking women on the show, which is funny, but it's because the guy, you know, they're cute, they're nice, they're sweet, a lot of them are innocent and whatever, and there's some creativity. Like my wife and I like watching all kinds of fashion shows about clothing and hair and makeup, and there's so many shows about that, the creativity about it, and you know, that's the main attraction. You know, the trashy, smutty sex stuff is not part of the attraction for either of us.
Yeah, it's good to be aware of it.
Yeah, but now we just don't watch any of that. But we do still watch trashy reality show, like with the polygamous social experiments with.
Oh, I think that's more useful. It kind of shows you the devil at work.
What's next on the agenda? It's like, it's crazy. You know, I was watching one of these shows with Anna the other day, and this woman was crying. She's like, "Oh," they're like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" "Oh, what he said to me. He made me feel like a slut." I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, that's what you do. So, I mean, and plus, like, why is that a bad thing? Like, you act as though it's a good thing. Why don't you like the label? Why don't you embrace it? Like, just, you are a whore. You are a whore. Admit it and repent and change your ways. Don't be a whore anymore, you know? Now I'm starting to sound like my friend Nick Fuentes here. But, you know, it's like, you know, these shows are encouraging women to be whores, and they're encouraging men to be whores. And it's like we are so blind. We humans are so blind with our appetites. Like, same thing with the food shows. Like, the food shows aren't much better. It's all about gluttony and, like, you know, you were making fun of the exotic gourmet coffees, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you watch the clip? Did you?
Doberman, yeah.
Labrador.
Doberman
Labrador. Did you watch the clip?
Yeah, they should have like a whole line of like a Doberman Doobie. Or here's a Saint Bernard for you.
Well, he does say in the clip that I wonder what Great Dane tastes like. But you know, the food shows are the same. Like, it's just the same sort of brainwashing. Like, it's good to indulge yourself. You should indulge. You deserve the best. You deserve the very best. And oh no, I'm gonna give this a failing grade because it's not, you know, it's not quite up to scratch or whatever. It's like, and people are embracing this in the culture. You go to a restaurant now. I don't go to restaurants, but if you go to a restaurant, you'll see people posting their crap on Instagram. Like they're standing on the chair, taking a photo of their meal.
Yeah.
This has been going on for
I
a
don't know about
decade
it
now.
if it's big up in Canada, but here, this Bachelorette show
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so big.
charity. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're watching that. We're currently watching that.
yeah. My daughter watches it, but when she realizes that it's a human train wreck. But
Yeah.
it it's funny that she mentions that in like Gen Z, this is considered conservative.
Are you serious?
Yes, because they're actually feigning at least the idea of marriage is there. It's not like that
uh,
Love Island. Have
uh-huh.
you seen Love
Of
Island?
course, of course. Of course. Have you seen F Boy Island? That's the one I was going to ask you about.
What island?
F Boy, it means, you know what the F word means, right?
Oh yeah.
F Boy, like player, Island. So it's three hot, so quote unquote hot chicks, ethnically diverse hot chicks, with 25 guys who are quote unquote hot, and half of them are nice guys, nice in air quotes, and half of them are F boys. I think they're all F boys, but some of them are genuinely nice probably, but they try to figure out, they don't know which one's which. They try to figure out who's the nice guy, who's the F boy. And we just watched a season. I forget which country it was from, maybe Australia.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just the fact that dress like this is normalized is
Scandalous.
something. It's scandalous.
You're looking right now, you're looking at the American season, the American show, but we watch, there's a New Zealand one, Australia one, we watch them all. And
Wow.
it's quite fascinating. It is quite fascinating, but I think that's the show where the woman was crying because someone made her feel like a whore. It's like, the truth hurts. Oh no, I think it was another show. There was a really good season of Bachelor in Paradise Canada that just is wrapping up now, and it was amazing because these people are innocent. They really are innocent. They want to find love, and many of them want to have like a family. They want to get married. They want 4 kids, 5 kids. Like this is like your daughter said, is like conservative values in today's culture. It's like really, I'm touched. Like these people want to settle down and they want to get married and have lots of babies. I was like, I think it's amazing. It's amazing that still exists. Like
yeah, I guess Mary Magdalene had 7 demons or whatever.
And the woman at the well had how many husbands?
Yeah.
But these women, it's so touching and so sad how they like, because they're allowed to have sex on TV. Like, they don't actually show it, but they're like, oh, we went to the boom boom room last night. And then, this morning, I don't know what's wrong with him. Like, now he's flirting with the other girls. Like, he had me last night. What's wrong? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, why is he now going elsewhere? And I'm shouting at the television. It's called Hit It and Quit It. It's like, this is like, fathers, lock up your daughters. Whatever, anyone listening to me, just lock up your daughters, because they're being fed to the wolves. It's so sad. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand. Oh, we were getting so close, and then we had sex, and then he's not interested anymore. It's like, yeah, that's how it works. That's why you don't have sex outside of marriage. That's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We got to pray for these.
It's a race to the bottom. Every time I think they've hit rock bottom, they find a new low.
There's worse coming. I'm sure there's worse coming. I'm sure.
Like on The Bachelorette, they said if this absurd situation isn't bad enough, let's play dodgeball in bikinis.
Anna and I, we skip through all that crap, all the sports and all the challenges. There's that Love Island show is so stupid. It is so stupid, really is so stupid, because they always have these challenges. Oh, now we're going to have a challenge. And what's the challenge? Everyone kisses each other. It's like, it's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. And during COVID, they were like pretending like, oh, everyone got tested for COVID. Everyone's wearing masks and this and that. And then they have these challenges. They all kiss each other. Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, are you really concerned about spreading diseases? I don't think so. Oh my God.
Yeah, my daughters, I have 2 daughters, and they are they realize, they watch it for the train wreck that it is. And it's a really good demonstration of like what not to do. So kids grow up faster now, seeing that.
Oh my God.
It used to be you would have maybe one person in a family that was a bad example, and now it's on TV every night. So
It's
people
the
can learn
norm.
faster.
It's to be emulated, you know? And the other thing I'm really surprised at is how the standards are so low. Like there'll be like a bunch of guys, a bunch of girls on this island, and then, you know, they automatically hook up and they think everyone's hot, and like I don't, but they do. And they're also happy to meet these quote unquote hot people. And then new people come on and they instantly are like acting like they've known these people their whole lives and that they've been married for 20 years. Like they're just like instantly comfortable, like necking and going to the boom boom room and everything like that. It's like my wife still makes fun of me to this day that when she was courting me and trying to get me into bed, basically, you know, first base for me took her a month, and that was just holding hands, right? And she tried to kiss me on the lips. I turned, she landed it on my cheek. She's like, "What are you doing, man? You're a prude." So it's like, you know, not to say that I'm pure. I'm not pure, but I'm a little bit prudish when it comes to, you know, first base, second base, third base. You're going to have to work for it with me. But but it's not the case with these kids on TV. They're just like they have a. It's like if you and I were to meet in real life, probably we'd shake hands or give a clump on the back or whatever, a hug, whatever. For them, it's like grope each other and neck and all that. That's just hello. And then, you know, what I don't understand, like they can do all that stuff, first base, second base, third base, within a matter of days. And then they make a big deal about it, like, "Oh, he told me that he likes me. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, now he said that he wants to make it official and be exclusive." And then they have all these grades, like, "Oh, then become girlfriend after that." It's like, well, to me, like you jumped to girlfriend as soon as you gave the first peck on the lips. Like to me, that's like you're in as girlfriend right away. But they have some reversal thing, put these labels on it. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, you said standards are changing. You know, it really strikes me that like people like Joe Rogan are seen as like a luminary of, in by modern standards. You know, like, oh wow, this guy's really smart. You know what I mean? It's like 40 years ago, this guy would have been probably like arrested for being a raving lunatic.
Well, you remember what courtship used to be like back in the good old days? Like, you know, the family was involved and you meet the parents and it's like you go on these chaperone dates. And I mean, I didn't do that. I had more of a rough and ready thing, but you know, and maybe it's a myth like of the golden era of the 40s and 50s or whatever, but there was decorum, and certainly with the upper echelons of society, I think they still have some sort of interest in having the family involved and all that sort of thing, right? Check out the other family. Are they appropriate for marriage?
Yeah, well, I heard that when the Vanderbilt wife around the 1900s, when she divorced, she walked into her Anglican church or whatever, or Methodist church, and everybody in the entire church turned her back because of the scandal. They turned their backs to her, the whole church, hundreds of people. And now,
Now they're
who are you married to now this week?
Oh, how much money does he have? Oh, oh God.
What a world.
What a world. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm not better. You know I'm not better. You know I'm not better. But it's just, you know, it's the muck and the mire of sin that we're so comfortable in. You know, we're so comfortable with it. It's junk food. Everything's junk food now. You know, it's all junk food. But this girl's name is Charity, and she seems like a nice girl. She seems a little bit dim of wit, but I think she's a nice girl. I like her name, Charity. That's a nice name.
Yeah, I feel for her because she would seem nice if she had some guidance or formation, but she's like, "Oh, this is normal. The producer said to do it, so it's
Well, yeah, and the cash bonus if you go this way instead of that way, you know, that's what I'm always joking about with these reality shows. Like, if you think that they're not being guided or influenced with cash bonuses, you're mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's what struck me with that. Who was that rapper up in Chicago that got busted for the girls?
White guy
I
or
watched documentary on
black guy or
Netflix.
white guy?
It's a black guy. He wrote some songs for Michael Jackson.
Oh, really? Oh,
Uh,
famous
there
rapper?
were a lot of memes about him. Oh gosh. Oh, who was the rapper? Gosh.
You have to ask your daughter.
I'll get it here in a minute, but there was a big series about him on Netflix, and they interviewed the girls. It really struck me how the girls thought, well, yeah, there was about 20 girls, you know, they were like, oh, it's R. Kelly.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know he was a rapper. Is he?
Oh, he's big time. He wrote a lot of big hits. You probably know some of this. You should look up his hits. But you hear the interviews with the girls, and they were like, well, they were just all going along with it. They knew there were 20 other girls at the same time, but they're like, well, he had money, so it must have been right. You know, or
Yeah.
he must have been a godly person because God was giving him all this money. You know, their association with success and money.
So is he in jail or what?
Yeah.
For what?
I think child.
Child
I'd have to
pornography?
look it up. I think rape and stuff like that. Conviction.
Rape and stuff.
child abuse.
Oh, really?
You know. With sex with a minor, probably.
What's a minor? How old?
Federal indictments. Sexual exploitation, child pornography, sex trafficking, kidnapping, racketeering. Yeah. But what struck me is the culture. You know, the people around him were like, "Oh, this must be good. He's making millions of dollars. It must be legit, right?"
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah,
logic.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's always the same. Like, I mean, I don't want to blame the victim. I don't want to blame the victim, but we have to call a spade and say the bad parenting is producing children who are, you know, choosing to put themselves in harm's way. They're choosing that because they're going to get ahead, or they think they're going to get ahead, or they think it's expected of them, or whatever. But when I see these tragic stories of these so-called victims, I just turn to my wife and I ask her, what would you have done if you were her age in that circumstance? She always says the same thing: kick him in the nuts and leave. Oh, but what
That's
about
what.
kick him in the nuts and leave? Get away from this creep, right? It's never, oh, I was pressured into it and I just slept with him 18 times because, you know, he had this power over me. My wife's always just like, no, kick him in the nuts and get away from this creep, and that's it, game over. So she's my litmus test for, like, if you're a victim or not. And these people, most of them, sad to say, they're not victims. They're victims of their own greed and their own
Yeah, they're
confusion.
intoxicated by the
The power.
money and fame. I mean, R. Kelly was dealing with the biggest names in the business, you know, every other day. If you were in his studio, you would hear from some of the top celebrities. You'd see them on a regular basis. He was effectively sentenced to 31 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a misogynist, but, you know, I think a lot of this is, let's make an example of this guy for whatever reason. And I mean, I really don't think that this guy was like taking innocent women and holding them down and raping them. I don't think so. Maybe I'll have to look into a story, but all of these stories, if you look into them, it's like these women are willing. And again, I'm not trying to blame any victim, but I use my wife as a litmus test. Like, what would you do in this situation? And she's been in situations where she had guys wanting to rape her, and she just kicked them in the nuts and left. You know, so you know, I don't have too much sympathy for. I have a little bit of sympathy for these women, but I blame them and I blame their parents most of all. And the guys, I don't put much blame on the guys because they're just horny and they have the money and the power, and they know they like it, the young chicks, the young hot chicks, and they get what they want. They're just getting what they want, right? They're not good Christian saints, obviously, but it's hard for me to really blame them. They're just like, that's the culture that they're in. And then to suddenly have some judge wagging the finger at them when all of society is encouraging them. It's schizophrenic. It's schizophrenic.
And he has his own tragic backstory, and I think they claim it was child abuse there too on him.
Yeah.
And I'm not wagging the finger on him. I'm just pointing out how the culture is people went along with the flow. I think like G.K. Chesterton says, a dead wood floats downstream. You have to be alive to swim upstream. And people are just going with the flow. You know, like, oh, this is normal now, right?
Yeah. So
you must know this song, "I Believe I Can Fly." That was a big
Oh
hit.
yeah, that's the only song I know by him. And
it's funny, he was singing songs like "Age is Just a Number." There's some memes out there about all the song titles. He was just basically telling people what he was doing. If I could turn back the hands of time, I'm a flirt.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird. Like, I mean, you know, everyone's applauding him. If you're a rock star and you've got like sexy young girls in your rock videos and they're shaking their booty, half dressed and whatever, or even fully naked now. I don't know what they do now, but you know, everyone's applauding that. Everyone's applauding it, and so I find it very confusing for these young, horny, godless men. I don't know. Maybe was he ostensibly Christian? This guy?
I think there was some remnant there with his mom, Christianity.
There's a guy. Yeah. Go ahead.
It was a terrible ghetto culture. You know, they had a lot of poverty and
violence.
Trying to make it out. His brother, during the documentary, his brother's being interviewed from prison in his own prison sentence, and
oh boy.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember now in the documentary, he had been making videos of some of these girls that were underage.
How old are we talking? Like after puberty or before puberty?
14 and older, I think.
So yeah, to me that's not. I mean, it's not the same as pre-puberty. It's like major difference in my book, you know.
Oh yeah. I guess you call it pederasty. Pederasty. It was that no one calls him a pedophile.
Okay. Well, when you said child pornography, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not you. It's the article said it. The article said. I don't know. Yeah. Is that child pornography?
He would have his bodyguards drive him up to the high schools and I don't know, maybe in grade schools, and they would.
Are you serious?
Circle around. Say, hey, you want to meet R. Kelly?
Oh my God, that's creepy.
Yeah, and to those girls, you know, that don't have money, or you see a lot of money, fancy cars drive up and stuff. This celebrity all at the same time. Girls can't. You know, a lot of girls can't say no to that.
Yeah. That's quite a different situation. I was thinking of like the model agencies with these or Epstein and these sorts of things where it's like, hey, do you want to be a successful model? Then just sleep with me. That's a different situation. If you're like cruising the public schools, that's like a different level of, to me, that's worse than what Epstein was doing, you know, because Epstein's saying, hey, do you want to work in this industry? Sleep with me. It's a pretty straightforward transaction right there. You said yes. What's the problem? You know what I mean? Don't say yes. Whereas this guy is like, if he's like just trapping innocent kids at school, like that are just in awe of his celebrity, that's like much lower than what Epstein did, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, there's always predators. My point about this is that the culture, the music, the celebrity worship, the money worship, it's normal, like in schools now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is how Satan works, right? It's an exchange. Like, hey, do you want this pleasure? Do you want this good thing? Just compromise your morals a little bit and it's going to feel good. So it's win-win, right? Except you're violating God's laws. So that's the part Satan forgets to mention all the time. He like forgets that one little detail, right?
Yeah, it's what a world.
Oh my God. So parents, please lock up your daughters and lock up your sons too, because they're coming for your sons too. Believe it or not, they think your son is sexy at age whatever.
Yeah, if they had a Catholic bachelor show, it'd be the most boring thing. Like
sitting around reading the Bible.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got to get going here so I don't get divorced. There's no such thing as divorce anyway, so I guess it's impossible. But we'll do it again next Wednesday if that be the will of God.
Amen. Thanks so much. And
yeah, it was fun.
Enjoyed it.
We'll get better and better. And every Wednesday, I'm doing this little fasting thing, but I seem to be a little bit more clear-headed this week. So.
Oh, you're doing pretty good.
So thanks for taking the time. Say hi to your family, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
God bless.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.